is Rachel, and I'm here with an exciting announcement. I have found the coolest readathon ever, and it is the Magical Readathon on Twitter, also known as the O.W.L.s exams. The O.W.L.s, if you're unfamiliar, are the exams from Harry Potter, the ordinary wizarding levels, and I'm just so excited, I don't even know what to say. This originates over on a BookTube channel by a user called Book Roast, and I will link the announcement video down below because you should absolutely go check it out. She even went so far as to make a letter from Hogwarts explaining how to take these exams. So we have the 12 main courses that you can take at Hogwarts. Each one has a challenge for a book to read to pass that course, and there's different levels you can get, grades you can get based on how many owls you sit and pass, aka how many books you read over the span of the readathon. It started yesterday on Monday, April 2nd, and I believe it runs through the last Sunday in April, which I think is the 29th. I can't remember offhand, and I am super excited. If you do no books, you get a level of like a troll, and if you do so many, you get different levels. And of course, most people are going for 5 exams, meaning 5 books. And I don't remember what that makes you, but like outstanding. It's like the highest ranking. You're like superb. So I've absolutely picked out 5, and there was even some talk on the Twitter about basing your courses off of the career you'd want to do. And of course, since I am a librarian, my dream job would be the librarian at Hogwarts. So I went with those classes as my main focus, which I'll explain more later. But I did pick out, in true Hermione style, 1 book for each category, and I'm gonna try to do all 12 classes and see how that goes. So we'll see. So I'm just gonna go through the list in the order that they're presented, and at the end I'll tell you the 5 that I'm gonna focus on for my library Hogwarts career, and we'll go from there. So the first class is Ancient Runes, and for this, you had to read a book with a symbol on the cover. Now, I am a little bit torn for this one. I'm not sure where I'm gonna start, so I'm just gonna show you the one I have picked out, and that is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This comes out in May, and I'm so excited to dive into this, but I do kind of want to read Caraval again first, because I am going to be doing that for a book club with my high school, and I feel like that might just be a nice refresher before I jump into the sequel. So this particular one doesn't have one, but the actual cover it's going to have has a symbol on it. So this would definitely count, but so does Caraval. It has like a star on it, almost like a compass shape. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to count for my Ancient Runes. I'm probably going to read Caraval before I read this one, but in the month of April, I would like to read both of these, so I'm going to count them both for my Ancient Runes exam. Next up is Arithmancy, and for this, you have to pick a book with a number in the title, and for this one, I went with 3 Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake. I actually got to meet Kendara Blake last year and listen to her talk about these books, and I'm just so excited. I can't believe I haven't read it yet, and this is one I'm looking at possibly reading with my high school students next year for book club, so I definitely want to go ahead and get into it. And I mean, she's just pumping these books out, so I got to get caught up with this series. So this is going to be my pick for the Arithmancy exam. Next up is Astronomy, and for this, as you might imagine, we need a sci-fi pick, and I was kind of torn. My gut reaction was to go with Obsidio because it just came out and I had just finished Gemina, but I really, really want to read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood before that new season starts. I haven't read this yet, and I'm really, really excited for the 2nd season of this, so I think I'm gonna go with this for my astronomy exam, and then if I have time, I'm gonna add Obsidio at the end as kind of like an extra credit for this class, I guess. So there you have it. Next up is Care of Magical Creatures, and for this you have to read a book with a magical character in the book or on the cover, and I'm gonna go with A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I believe this has, well, it does have fairies in it, which I would believe are magical creatures. So yeah, and I would like to read this book for myself, 1, because I love Beauty and the Beast, and 2, I want to see how racy it does get before I go recommending it to a lot of my high school students. So we're gonna use this one for my Care of Magical Creatures exam. Next up, we have the Charms class, and for this, we have to read a fantasy novel, and for this, I'm super excited. I'm going to be reading Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I've heard fantastic things about this, and I have been dying to pick it up. I bought it the day it came out so I could read it, and I just have not gotten to it yet, so it's going to happen this month. It was gonna happen anyway, so I was glad it fit into one of the classes that I'm taking, which is Charms. Next up is the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, and for this you have to pick a book that contains like a secret society, and for that I'm gonna go with Harry Potter, book number 5, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. For those of you who do know I'm a librarian, you will be surprised to find out that I have never read through all the Harry Potter books before. I'm going through them this year. I actually just got to go to Harry Potter World. I am totally on board with all of the Harry Potter stuff at this point. I was just really slow getting into the game, so I am up to number 5, and this is the longest book, but I've heard from several people this is their favorite one, so I'm excited to dig in, and I've heard there are some secret societies in this one. Next up is Divination, and for this class, we have to pick a book with a prophecy in it, and for this, again, I kind of have a toss-up, and I'll explain. I was thinking of Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth, and this series. The second book comes out next week, and I'm ready to dive in, but once again, I'm struggling with, do I want to reread maybe the first one, so I'm like super into it, or do I just want to dive into the second one? I'm not sure, but both of them will involve prophecies because there are oracles involved in this world, so I'm either going to be reading the first one or the second one, maybe both. Maybe we'll go full on Hermione and just do even extra credit. We'll see. Next up is Herbology, and for this, you have to pick a book with a nature-related title, and for this I'm going with The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I actually had an arc of this, and for some reason I never got to it before January, and I've just been hearing nothing but good things about this ever since, so I want to get to this and see what it's all about. So I'm using this for my Herbology class. Next up is The History of Magic, and for this we had to pick a historical fiction book, and for this one I'm picking The Sympathizer by Viet Thanh Nguyen. I never say these names. But you get it, you see it, you know it. It's won the Pulitzer, I mean, it's won like every award. And I'm actually reading this for a book club I'm participating in. And we're reading this for like next week. So I need to get on this. This will probably be the first book that I read for the exams. Next up is Muggle Studies, and for this we had to pick a Muggle nonfiction book. And for that one, I'm going with 10 Years in the Tub by Nick Hornby. This is going to be one of my challenges for my Read Harder challenge anyway, so I decided to do that. This is a decade of soaking in the tub with great books. It's just a bunch of essays he's written about books he's read, and so I'll probably be reading this slowly kind of throughout the month, but plan to finish it for my Muggle Studies exam. Next up is Potions, and for Potions we have to pick a book with alchemy, and from what I'm told, this book involves a little of that. So I'm gonna pick Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is another book I'm possibly considering for book club next year, and I would really just like to jump in. I've heard really great things about it, so I am excited to jump in, and I'm hoping there actually is alchemy in this one. And last up is Transfiguration, and for this one we had to pick a book with creatures that can transform into other creatures, or a book with a cat on the cover. And for this I'm going with The Night Vale. Again, this is a book I'm going to be needing to read for book club, and from what I've heard, this involves creatures that can kind of transform, so I'm hoping that that's true and it'll work for that one. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going for my library degree at Hogwarts, so for these owls I specifically need to pass Ancient Runes, which was legendary, or Caraval. I need to also pass Charms, which will be Children of Blood and Bone. I also need to do Defense Against the Dark Arts, which is Harry Potter number 5, and I also need to complete History of Magic and Muggle Studies, which I went with The Sympathizer and 10 Years in the Tub. So those will be the main 5 books that I get to, but again, I'm trying to go for all 12, maybe even a bonus few. So we'll see how it goes. If you would like to participate in this awesome readathon, again, visit the link down below to go to Book Roast announcement page and join in. I'm hoping to update you frequently as I pass my owls, so stay tuned. Thanks, bye!